Grip Arm Sport, Premium, Arm Wrestling Apparel.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video on how to grow bigger and thicker hands. A couple years ago, I did a similar video titled Thicker Hands, Is It Possible? And it quickly became one of my most popular and most viewed videos on YouTube. With that being said, recently I've posted some progress pictures of my hands on Instagram, and I've received a few messages basically stating, how did you get your hands that thick? Or what can I do to get my hands that thick? So I've decided to make another video on how to grow bigger and thicker hands, and I've come up with 3 theories on how to do so. And really, they're not even theories at this point, they are proven facts. So, theory number 1 would be directly train the muscles of the hand. And yes, your hand does have muscles. And the more you train a muscle, the bigger and stronger it will become. Theory number 2, Wolff's Law. If you guys have not heard of Wolff's Law, I advise that you do some research on YouTube, basically to just familiarize yourself with what it is. So I've broken Wolff's Law into 2 categories. The first would be basically stress through direct contact. And the third theory would be Wolff's Law broken into its second category, which would be stress through indirect contact. So if you guys are interested in building bigger and thicker hands, stay tuned to the video and I will show you how.
All right, guys, starting with theory number 1, building the muscles of the hand. And like I said earlier, the hand does have a few different muscle groups. One being the thumb pad, the other being the top of the thumb, and the third being the pinky pad. So let's start with grippers on how to build those areas. So for me personally, I like to use the smallest and weakest gripper they make. Most people would use a gripper just like you think they should be used. However, if you want to isolate the different muscles of the hand, you're going to have to go outside of the box and use them in a little more unique way. So to build the thumb pad, this is how I would use my gripper. I would actually turn it upside down, and just like so, I'm now using my thumb to press the gripper down. So moving on, how to train the top of the thumb using a gripper. This is a little more hard to do, but it can be done. Once again, turn the gripper upside down. Place the gripper in between your thumb and your index finger. And you're actually gonna close the gripper sideways using your thumb. Like I said, this is a little more difficult, but it does isolate that little muscle on top. And after multiple reps, you will start to feel it on top of the thumb. All right, so we covered the thumb pad, we covered the top of the thumb. Now we're gonna finish with how to work the pinky pad. Using the gripper, there's 2 ways to grab it. You can either do it this way, or you can grab it upside down. First, we'll start this way and just grab it like you would any ordinary gripper. However, you're gonna isolate it by using your ring finger and pinky finger, only using those 2 fingers to close the gripper. You can also turn it upside down, grab it, and like I said, make sure it's just the ring finger and the pinky using it to close the gripper. This will really isolate this part of the pinky and really work that pinky pad. All right, moving on from the grippers and to a machine that I've showed in many of my videos because it truly is one of my favorite machines for building overall thickness of the hand. This is the Iron Mind Telegraph Key, and it can train every part of your hand, including the thumb, the pinky, and even those little muscles in between the joints. And not only is this a muscle builder, but you could put this into the category of possibly Wolf's Law, because the stress of this machine, if you do high weights, could actually target, those smaller bones, the cartilage, the connective tissue. So this, in my opinion, is one of the best machines for building overall thickness of the hands. So how does it work? Firstly, in order to target the thumbs, this is how you would use it. I generally like to use a lighter weight on this machine and isolate one hand at a time. I feel as if it targets the thumb and the thumb pad much better. Now, the second way to use it would be to actually use an overhand grip. And this is where it's isolating those small muscles and that connective tissue and those ligaments in the top of your hand. I've actually done this workout, and the next day you can feel the soreness in the structure of your hand. So that's how I know for a fact that this machine works in building the overall thickness. All right, some additional gripper machines we can use are the Titan Pops gripper and the Hammer Strength grip machine. The Titan gripper is pretty easy to find, also known as the Bruce Lee grip machine. The Hammer Strength gripper is kind of rare, and if you do find one, they're pretty expensive. However, both are great tools for building the hands. All right, a little bit more cost effective and still a great way to build the thumb pad would be your simple arm wrestling strap. This one from Grip Arm Sport, you can go to griparmsport.com and get yours now. They have some of the best arm wrestling straps in the business. A simple yoga or jiu-jitsu belt can also do the job. Basically, all you would do is take the strap, wrap it around the back of your hand and through the thumb, hook it up to a pulley machine, and isolate the thumb pad as much as possible. All right, let's move on to the first part of theory number 2, which is Wolf's Law. In simple terms, what Wolf's Law is the reconstructing of your bones based upon the load or stress put upon them. That's why I've broken this into 2 categories, because I believe there are 2 different ways that this can be done. The first way, which would be through direct impact, such as like a martial artist would do iron fist or iron palm training, or you've probably seen kickboxers that can kick a steel pole or can basically kick a tree in half. That would be Wolf's Law based on direct impact. So if I took this cinder block and I took my hand and I constantly hit my hand over and over and over, that would eventually cause small microfractures in the bones that would eventually heal. They would fill up with calcium, and over the course of many years, the bones would start to thicken. Theory number 3, Wolff's Law through indirect contact. So as previously stated, direct contact would be a direct blow with a solid object in order to cause stress or put a load on the bones. Indirect contact would be hitting an object with another object. This would be like a blacksmith constantly pounding on an anvil, or a farmer pounding in a fence post, etc. So if I took this nail and this hammer and this block of wood, this would be indirect contact. However, the stress of doing that, a metal object hitting another metal object, such as the nail or the piece of wood, theoretically, the stress would absorb into the bones, and the bones would have to adapt to that stress, getting thicker and stronger. Now, another thing that I would like to point out is it has to be a hard object. If I go over here to this pile of garbage where my rubber tire is sitting, and I try to do this, with the rubber tire, I'm not getting as much stress on the bones because of how it's bouncing, and I'm not actually absorbing any kind of punishment into the bones. Before we end the video, I just wanted to add 2 more theories as honorable mentions on how to build thicker hands. One would be building the hands through toughening the skin, such as calluses and scrapes and abrasions. We'll see this a lot with rock climbers. The more you rock climb, you get calluses on the fingertips, and eventually the hand will start to thicken that way. Also with construction workers, labor people, mechanics, they're constantly, bumping their hands, getting splinters, cuts, abrasions. Over time, those start to heal, and the body wants to adapt. They don't want those injuries to happen again, so the skin will get thicker and harder to cut. Another honorable mention, of course, is the use of drugs, which would be human growth hormone. Basically, just like if you have a medical condition called acromegaly, that's where you have some kind of condition with your pituitary gland where your body is producing too much growth hormone.
So if you're using human growth hormone and injecting it, your body is going to mimic that pituitary growth, and one of the main side effects is, thickening and larger hands. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something, and please subscribe to my channel because I'm going to be doing sporadic updates on the growth of my hands, most likely via YouTube Shorts. So with that being said, please like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next video.